Okay, we're ready to go. Go ahead. Go.
You are listening to an Earthcast Echo for January 29th, 2015. We are broadcasting live on Earth Bridge's channel of World Bridges Network. Earthcast Echoes are extensions of an Earth Day webcast called Earthcast. Today we are broadcasting live from Rye Junior High School in Rye, New Hampshire, in the U.S.
If you're listening live, there's a chat room available to ask questions and share your ideas. You will have to log in using one of the tools or as a guest. Adults and students will be in the chat room, so please be respectful and kind and helpful. Thank you. Today we are pleased to be able to speak to Colonel Joseph Kittinger and his wife. Colonel Kittinger is well known for his aviation expertise, and he is the first to jump from the stratosphere back in 1960. Welcome, Colonel Kittinger.
We have several questions. We have divided them up among our 4 classes. We will pause from time to time to change places. First up is our blue class.
Hello, I'm Luke, and this is Ryan. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. When you were little, when you were little, be honest with me, were you a good kid or were you a troublemaker?
I was a good kid. My mother, when I started kindergarten, told me that I needed to be pay attention to the teacher and not cause any problems. And if I had it, it's going to give me the problem that she would know about it, and I would suffer the consequences. So I would say I was a good kid. All school I was in.
That's what I was hoping. What? What did you want to be when you grew up, when you were like little?
Well, I tell you what, I was enamored at a very early age with flying. I made model airplanes, and I read everything I could about aviation, and I just set a goal at my earliest age to be a pilot. And I never gave up that goal, and I worked constantly toward that. And there's a lesson, I think, for all you kids. That is, to succeed in life, you need to set goals and work for them, because that's how you accomplish the task. Is to set the goals and work hard for them, and don't get distracted.
That's really nice. Okay, now Ryan's going to read you some questions.
Who was your role model when you were young?
I guess probably Lindbergh. Berg was mine. He was very prominent in aviation, and I guess Lindbergh was the person that was my role model.
All right. What do you think your parents would have said if they saw you jumping?
Well, first of all, my mother and father had confidence in me. They never was concerned about my safety because they always felt that I could take care of myself. And from my earliest age, I was given the opportunities to demonstrate, that I could take care of myself. I became active in the Boy Scouts, and that really helped me an awful lot in the Boy Scouts, because it teaches you the outdoors and how to take care of yourself. And so, to make the point is that I had the confidence of my parents, and they never were really worried about me.
All right. What age did you begin to show interest in high altitudes in outer space?
That's a very good question. 45, 50,000 feet. And I became interested in space back in 1950, early 1950s. So no one ever thought we were going to go into space. But I just had a feeling that this would be a great adventure to go into space. And I started working back in the early 50s with the Air Med Lab, where I was stationed on doing weightlessness experiments and other research experiments that could lead us to the space age. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some questions from the chat being answered. If Seamus could come out, do you have any questions? He does not have any questions at the time.
Well, that was a good question.
All right, are we switching? Okay, we're switching to the yellow group. Excuse me, we're switching to the yellow group. Okay,
We would like to ask you some questions about the jump itself that you made. We would like to ask you some questions about the jump that you made from high in the stratosphere. Can you describe the mission a bit for us?
Well, it was let me tell you the reason for it. It was a research program that the United States Air Force initiated in preparation for space. We've never been in the space environment except in chambers. We've never had a man actually try to do work in a space environment. That was one objective. The second objective was that we needed an escape system from very, very high altitude. So those are the two things that we were working on the project. I was the project director, and I had a working with me. And it's very important that you have people that you're working with, that you have confidence in you, and has the same goals, the same objectives. It's very, you can't do anything by yourself. And a research program like this, it takes a good team. And I had a great team, and they all had the same objective that I had. And that was to obtain the information that I had described to you. And the only way we could do it was to go up with a balloon. There was, in those days, the only way to get up there was a balloon. And I made 3 jumps from the balloon, and each one of these jumps was to gather additional information until I made the final jump from 102,800 feet. Did I answer your question?
Yes, it did. We have a question from the chat room. What's your biggest regret about the jumps?
Biggest regret?
Well, do you have any regrets?
No, absolutely none. We accomplished all the yeah. I was still alive, and we accomplished what we set out to do. So I had no regrets. As a matter of fact, we were all elated because we had accomplished what we set out to do. We had accomplished our goal in a safe and methodical manner, and we made a contribution. And by the way, the escape system that we developed back in 1960 is still being used today. Every ejection seat in the world uses a small drug chute that we developed back in my project back in 1960. So it's still being used today, and that makes us I'm very proud of that.
excellent.
It's awesome.
Okay. So we have a couple questions from the yellow class. Were the jumps done in secret?
Like a secret mission.
No, it wasn't done in secret, but we didn't go out of our way to publicize what we were doing. I always believe it's better to show what you've done rather than what you're going to do. So we kept it, it wasn't classified, but we didn't broadcast to the world what we were doing until after we had done it.
Okay. How did your friends and family react when they found out you were jumping from the stratosphere, and did that impact your final decision?
Well, I told them I was going to jump and that I had no inhibitions about it. I had no concern, and that I would call them when I got down. And that's what I did. I got down, I called my family, mother and father, and let them know that everything was had accomplished exactly what he set off to do.
What was it like to travel at such speeds when falling from the stratosphere?
That's a good question. See, I was falling in a vacuum. There's no air up there. So you have nothing to look at to see how fast you're going. Yeah, you just, how do you determine speed? By looking visually at some object. Well, there's no objects up there. And I rode 614 miles an hour, and I had no idea I was going that fast. And when Felix made his jump in 2012, he went 847 miles an hour, and he had no idea he was going that fast, because there's nothing there that you can judge it with.
We've just been studying about air pressure and vacuums and things like that. So that was interesting for us to hear.
What was the last thing you said to yourself before you jumped?
Lord, take care of me now. That's all. I had confidence in my team, confidence in my equipment, but before I left, I asked God to take care of me during the jump. And he did.
Oh.
Did you constantly think about the details when you jumped, or did you take in the event on a personal level?
Another good question. I was there as a test pilot. I was there to gather information. I was there to gather as much as we could out of the jump. So I was extremely busy as a test pilot, talking into a tape recorder, talking about what was going on with my pressure suit. How I control was I was extremely busy, and every thought I had was the thought that test pilot would think, test pilot would act.
Why is there 3?
So I'm just going to say, this is a difficult task for these people. They're trying to figure out what questions to ask and what ones you've already answered, and so they're working, trying to figure out which question to go next. So this is all new skills for us.
We have a question from the chat room. What will be the next exploration in outer space? Where is NASA headed in the future?
Does he know?
Let me tell you what the most exciting adventure that our world will have in the next 30 years. And that is sending people to Mars. That's going to be the next great scientific expedition. The whole world will watch, and the whole world will be a part of it. And you all of you are going to be in a position where you're going to be able to
Okay, next question.
She just keeps treating you.
So we read a bit about the issue you had around your wrists on one of your jumps. Can you describe the situation, and in general, was your suit comfortable?
Well, my way up on my last jump, the pressure suit glove on my right hand did not work. And I knew that it would be in the vacuum and it would be painful, but I decided to go ahead with the jump because if I would have told the people on the ground that I had that, when they would have paid me a full work. So I didn't tell them. So my hand rolled twice its normal size, and I couldn't manage it. So everything I did from then on was using my left hand. But I forgot to back down to the ground after a couple of hours. Everything was back to normal, and there was no problem. I didn't suffer any ill effects with it. But that was really the only mishap I had during the entire flight, was that pressure glove that broke. And it broke, it tested great on the ground, but somewhere between the ground and 40,000 feet, it broke. And the pressure suit is not comfortable. The pressure suit squeezes your body, pressurizes your body to 40,000 feet. So it's not comfortable, but it's something you have to put up with in order to go into space.
What changes did they make to your suit after the jump?
Did they make any changes?
Did they make any changes?
You're gonna have to speak up.
Well, the suit that I was using was a partial pressure suit that the Air Force was using every day. Every pilot in the U-2 or flying at very altitude used that same suit. The suit was not easy at all because there was nothing wrong with the suit. The suit protected me in the space environment. The only thing that happened was the pressure glove broke, and that was a problem that was resolved by a little heavier tube, and so it never happened again. But I would use a standard Air Force pressure suit, and one of the things we demonstrated to the air crews that we were giving them very good equipment.
Did the specific Air Force training help prepare you for your very high parachute jumps?
Yeah, a good question. I trained, I made 100 flights in altitude chamber. I trained in the capsule. I trained in the pressure suit. We duplicated a flight probably 100 times. So when it came time for me to do it, it was routine. And every space flight that's made, every test flight that's made, the pilots go through the simulator. They go through all the test components on the ground. They test everything they can on the ground before they have to fly it. And I did the same thing. I was I was trained, I was motivated, and I was ready to do it.
Oh. What part of the mission scared you the most? Was it going up, coming down, or something in between?
Good question. I was concerned with every part of it because if all had to work properly, it would be getting on the ground successfully. I'm saying the happiest I was when I got on the ground. After we had gone through this test and I was safely on the ground, that was a great moment of enjoyment.
Okay.
Was the jump from the balloon any different than you expected?
No, this was my third jump, and I learned quite a bit on the first two jumps, and there really wasn't any surprises, which is good when you think about it, because that means that we had anticipated all of the problems. The preparation, training, all of it automated and doing the last jump without any problem or concern. But I remember, it had never been done before. I was in an area doing something that had never been accomplished before. So there's always the unknown, and that's why we're there, to eliminate the unknown. So I was there as a test pilot to gather the information that we needed for the space program.
So we have 2 questions from the chat.
From the chat room?
One question.
Do the question.
Just one.
Yes, it says for the school.
Oh, does hearing these stories make you?
No, that's for our
That's for
class.
us. So does hearing these stories make you, us, want to do a jump like this?
No, this is for our,
Yeah, this is
Why
why
you
So-
asking? It says for the
that's all right, we're gonna do the next question.
Okay, so how would the weather affect your landing? For example, the blizzard in the Northeast. Did he get that?
I'm not so bad for the question.
So how would weather affect the landings?
I did not get the question.
How would weather affect the landings?
Well, the weather is a very important part of this. I had a weatherman that was predicting the wind go along and where I was going to go and what it was going to be like when I landed. And we had to have ideal conditions because the landing was so interesting because I weighed about 320 pounds with all the equipment. And so I was going to hit pretty hard. So we made certain that we was going to have pretty calm winds on the ground, have good winds aloft. And so the weather was an important part of the decisions that were made. We went when the weatherman said it was right.
All right, we're gonna switch over to the green class.
So, you're going, if it's okay, should we, you know, you have served in the military. We know you have served in the military and deployed to Vietnam. Do you mind answering some questions about that experience?
Look here.
No, I'll go ahead and ask the question.
Okay, what was your job or mission in Vietnam?
My job in Vietnam was to be a soldier, to follow the orders that were given to me. I was a fighter pilot, so I flew airplanes. But all of the soldiers that were over there, Marines, soldiers, Army, Coast Guard, we were all of us were over there to accomplish a mission that our superior officers gave us to do. We were soldiers just like the soldiers in Iraq and Iran and World War II and the Revolutionary War. We were all soldiers.
How did you get captured in Vietnam?
Well, I get captured. I was flying an F-4 Phantom aircraft near Hanoi, and an enemy airplane shot me down. And I came down. I had to eject out of the airplane. I ejected my back seater first, and then I went and I landed in a rice paddy about 30 miles northwest of Hanoi. I was captured immediately and taken to the Hanoi Hilton, which was the name of the prison camp that I was taken to, and I spent 11 months there before I was released.
What did you eat when you were the prisoner of war? What did they feed you?
Well, we ate twice a day. Both times with soup. It was made of pumpkin. They take a pumpkin and dump it in the water, and that was our meal with pumpkin soup. And once we'd have a little bit of rice. We didn't eat very well, but it was enough to keep us from starving. But it was pumpkin soup, and I don't like pumpkin soup at all anymore.
Don't blame you.
When you were a prisoner of war, what kept you going physically and mentally?
That's a very good question. I had a faith that we would get out of there, and all of us that were there. And by the way, we had some people that were there with us for 7 years, but we all had the same spirit. We all had the same enthusiasm that eventually we would be released from there. And what kept us going was our discipline, love, and the goal was to return with honorable death.
We have a question from the chat
Well,
room.
let's do that one later.
Okay. What was the most scary part of your military career?
Well, I would say probably being a POW, getting shot down. Getting shot down on flying an airplane, going twice the speed of sound, and then second, having to land out of an aircraft. That was a pretty hairy situation. The other one, of course, was the concern I had when I made the jump from 102,000 to 800 feet.
Okay. So I think we're ready to switch to the red class, right?
Hello. So, did you have any motives for leaving the military when you retired in 1978? Did you feel happy or sad? What were your feelings?
Well, I had 29 lovely years, and when I left, I was leaving one career and starting another one. I was proud of my service.
We know you joined a flying circus. Can you describe it? What is it and what was your job?
Well, the flying circus was an advertising venture for a company I worked for called Church Street Station. And we used the airplane. We had 5 airplanes. And we used the airplanes for towing banners and skywriting. We towed a banner every day over at Disney and Universal and SeaWorld, all of the tourist attractions here in Orlando. And then we would skywrite when the weather was good. We would skywrite in the skies over Orlando. So it was, and then we fly balloons, hot air balloons, and we fly helium balloons and races. So the balloon flying, hot air balloon flying, airplane flying, it was a wonderful, wonderful, funny time. And I spent 15 years doing it, and I loved every day. It was aviation at its best.
So that sounds very fun.
When you did the solo trip across the Atlantic Ocean, did it ever cross your mind that you might end up in the middle of the ocean or with the fate like Amelia Earhart?
Well, there was always a possibility I could land the ocean. I did not look forward to that because the water was extremely cold. It was 70 miles an hour wind on the surface of the ocean, so I really didn't want to land in the ocean. And I had a boat that the gondola I was in was also a boat, so I would have had some means of floating around the ocean if I had to go down there. But fortunately, I didn't. I would not have enjoyed it had I gone into the ocean, because that was not the goal. The goal was to land in Europe, and that's what I did.
Which did you enjoy flying more, airplanes or balloons?
Well, that's a good question. I enjoy flying everything: balloons, gliders, airplanes, jets. There's the excitement in all of them. Sometimes it takes more judgment to fly a balloon because you can't change your trajectory. You have to go with the wind. So, but all of them are enjoyable, and I still fly balloons, and I still fly airplanes, and I still love it. Aviation is still a great adventure for me.
What do you do now? Like anything involving aviation? Do you do anything like that?
Yes, as I said, I'm still flying. I'm still involved in aviation. I was a consultant to Felix Baumgartner when he made his jump from 128,000 feet back in 2012. So I'm still a consultant on projects that are exciting, like that one of the parachute jump for Felix Baumgartner.
How did you meet? Oh, I have a question. We have some questions for Mrs. Kittinger.
Just a minute, I'll get it. Give me her.
Here.
Hi,
Hi. Hi. How did you meet
the Colonel.
Colonel?
Well, my college job was chasing balloons. And Joe was the pilot, and I would chase him. And that's how we met, on the balloon field.
Can you explain what chasing balloons means?
Sure. We had a hot air balloon company that gave tourist rides, right? And so we would meet in the morning, go out to the launch site, the balloon would take off, and I would follow along in the van and pick them up where they landed. It was a fun job.
Do you share any interest in aviation?
Sure, yes, we flown balloons and airplanes all over the world. And for 9 years, we flew a biplane and gave rides at air shows.
When did you get married to Mr. Joe Kittinger, and where did you get married?
We got married in Las Vegas in 1991.
We have a question from the chat room.
Okay.
Jack.
Is there a question?
Yes.
What mission do you wish you had?
Oh, this is
been
for
assigned?
Go ahead.
Mr.
Mr. Kittinger.
Colonel Kittinger.
I'll get them back to you. This one's for you from the chat room.
Okay, I'm ready.
Either come over and say it loudly or.
You go.
What mission do you wish you had been assigned, which you were not assigned at first?
Well, I don't think I really had any. I had a wonderful career in the Air Force, and I wouldn't have done anything any different. And looking back on it, I've had a very wonderful life. of adventure and accomplished quite a bit. And I've been pretty satisfied with my life, and I wouldn't have changed anything.
I have a question for Mrs. Kittinger with respect to the marriage, I guess. How did he propose?
He proposed on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
All right.
You will return to the blue class. Thank you. You will return to the blue class.
Okay, blue class.
All right.
So, Felix Baumgartner did a similar jump in 2012. Some of your records were broken. How involved were you in the project?
Well, I worked on that project for 5 years. I designed the life support system. I designed the checklist. I designed the egress procedures. I was very much involved for 5 years with the program, training Felix, and then I was on the radio with them on every flight. So it was an exciting event, exciting flight. And once again, there was science that was accomplished. He was testing the next generation full pressure suit. He was testing the next generation physiological monitoring device. So I really enjoyed being a part of a project that makes some scientific accomplishments and advancements. And the Red Bull project was that. Felix did a phenomenal job of jumping feet. And as I say, he went 847 miles an hour during the free fall.
Wow.
All right, we have a question from the chat room. How was working with Felix Baumgartner?
Oops. Okay. Excuse me. We're still live. We're broadcasting. So we're going to try to get the call back. Okay.
Colonel.
Hi, we're having some problems on this end, and our bandwidth isn't working too well, so.
One of the chat room people click on the little thing?
Can you hear us? All right, but we can't hear you. Let me turn up the volume a little bit.
Is he there? Or is he not there?
Thank you. All right, I don't think we can hear you. Excuse me, classes. Let's do a test again. Can you hear us? All right, we can just barely hear you. Try one more time. All right, I'm going to ask you to call us back because we can't hear you. Would that be all right? Sometimes it works better if they call us. Just a reminder, the camera's still on. Here we go. All right. Can you hear us? Oh, now we can hear you. Okay, we're back too, I think.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. No, no. I will remind you that we're still live. Yes, we can.
Stand by.
Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you, I can see you.
All right, very good. All right, we have a few more questions.
Okay, we're back. What did you think of Felix Baumgartner jumping from the stratosphere? We heard you were giving instructions to Felix.
Through the checklist, I could watch him do it. So I was just like I was there with him. And he felt very comfortable because of the communications that we had. And it worked out. So when it came time to do it, it was just we'd always practice it, and it wasn't any problem. So I enjoyed working with Felix, but we were all, it takes three things to do a project like this. You have to have confidence in your equipment, you have to have confidence in your team, you have to have confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
And we had all three of these ingredients. And we had a great team of people, and every person on the team but had one objective, and that was the safety and the well-being of Felix. And it worked. He went up and down, so we were all elated at the end of the project when we had accomplished the goals that we set out to do.
All right. If you gave Felix advice, what was it?
Well, the main advice is
Okay, I think we're going to try them one more time, and we'll just kind of say thank you, and then we'll wrap it up, okay? So can Callista move in there, please? So can you say we'll wrap it up? Wait. But you need to speak louder.
All right.
But wait till we. See if they can call one more time. Okay. So you know what I'm going to try to do? I'm going to try to do just a call. All right. We turned off our video to help with that. Maybe that will make it better. It seems that we keep freezing, so we just turned off our video. Can you still hear us? No. Okay, so thank him. Okay.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Colonel Kittinger.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to wrap it up.
Okay. You've been listening to an Earthcast Echo, a live webcast from Rye Junior High School in Rye, New Hampshire, in the United States. Thank you to our guest,
Colonel.
Colonel Kittinger, and his wife, Sherry, for joining us today. We also want to thank everyone who listened live and participated in the chat.
Thanks also to go to the World Bridges Network for allowing us to broadcast on the Earth Bridges channel. That's all for us, and hopefully we'll see you again, Colonel.